mentions, whoa, probably in the KKKKK on the low. GTOFABOMG, he gotta go. Trump man, he's so out of order. He don't know immigrant cross the border. I don't fuck with him, but I will fuck his daughter. This is 4th and 12, we in the final quarter. Donald Trump for real, man, tell me what we doing. Y'all thought that Obama would leave us in ruin. Donald couldn't even keep a talk show. Now y'all wanna hand this guy to launch codes? What? Fuck the Trump, cause we got bigger fish to fry. Peace to all the families out in Riverside. How can someone think they choose who gets to die? If Big Jakes is in the building, Eastmont baby in the building. What's good? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you would mind. So you got the point, right? So I made this song 8 years ago. It's called Fuck Trump. You know what I'm saying? As I said, as I have been very vocal about, I am personally not a Trump fan. If you are, that's cool. That's your thing. I think it's weird, but cool. Cool, bro. That's cool for you. I honestly just would love to hear like a solid argument as to why someone supports him, and that's just what I have not heard yet. Outside of things were better when he was in office, I was making more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we can talk about why people were making more money at the time, but it has very little to do with him. I think that is a very weak argument. And again, anybody who wants to let me know and come on and give their side and give their argument, you are welcome to do so. Just let me know. I'll send you a link to come on. Graham C says, let me know if you want to. Yo, you're welcome to. He says he can give me an honest reason as to why somebody might. All right, I'm gonna send you the link, Graham. You can let's see if you convince me that there's an honestly good reason outside of partisanship to vote for him. Link coming your way now. Cool. So let's pull up the comments. Let's pull up some of the comments. All right. So shout out to Brandon Phillips. He says, I've been on, bro. He says, you've been on, broski. Big shout out to Brandon Phillips for the love. I like that. That deserves a hand clap. Brandon Phillips is a hilarious comedian and good friend. Prospect Films, 9 of Rose. What's good? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you wouldn't mind. Lee Recca says, yeah, bro, talk that shit. King Harris with the laughing emojis. I don't know if that's good laughing emojis or bad laughing emojis, but I'll take it as a compliment. Sakina with the flames. Ty the pizza guy. I don't know Ty the pizza guy that well. I do know who he is. I know he's from the Thousand Oaks area. Not sure if he's a musician or what. But I do know who he is. Prospect Film says EBG and Big E in my city just dropped. Shout out to Big E and EBG. We definitely gonna get to that this week for sure. Ty the pizza guy says Trump greater than Harris for me, but all love, bro. I need an explanation as to why. That's not enough for me, but whatever. The card photos with the flames, you know what I'm saying? That deserves a round of applause. I like it. Sorry, I got the rainbow of death. But then we scroll down, we get a little further down, and Hustle the one who has been on the show before, friend of the show. I've done shows with Hustle Live. He's come to a couple of our events. Good guy. I definitely, don't have an issue with Hustle at all. Did not know he was a Trump fanatic. Did not know he was in the cult, but I don't have any issue with Hustle. He owns Blue Diamond Lounge in Lompoc. I think he does some cool things for independent artists, and he looks out for them. So, I'm not mad at Hustle, but Hustle slid in the chat. He slid in the comments, and he says, Trump all day. Trump all day. The time of blind following the blind is over, which is the most ironic thing I've ever heard.
Devin Smith, what's good? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you wouldn't mind. He says Trump all day. The time of following the blind for the blind is over. True Americans for Trump, Latinos for Trump, businessmen for Trump. Time to bring money back to Americans. Okay. Wow. Alexandra Madrigal, what's good? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you wouldn't mind. I would love to ask Hustle, and I should have asked in the comments, but I just didn't want to like go. There were a couple points I wanted to make in the comments, and I didn't want to hit every point, else I would be arguing with him on the comments all day, and I just didn't really have time to do that. The first question I would ask is, what is a true American? I don't know what that is. And I don't know what he means about money coming back to America when we're still classified as the wealthiest country in the world, at least one of the wealthiest countries in the world. So I don't necessarily know what he means about let's bring money back to America. I feel like he might be saying, I think he might be projecting a little bit and saying maybe that he was making more money when Trump was in office. He wants to feel that again, which I think he should specify because America has plenty of money. Devin Smith, what's good? Thank you for sharing. I really do appreciate that, man. That deserves a round of applause. A round of applause. Baby, make that. I'm going to say hands clap. For sure. Yeah, so I don't know what he means by that. But then, so I say, okay, cool. So I reply and I say, what did I say? What was my next reply? Sorry. I just said, boo, with like a million O's, because I think that was a bad take. I think that was a really bad take. So he replies and he says, the last 3 years, she has done nothing for our country. So boo back, my friend. And I love when people say this because they never say the things that Donald Trump has done for our country. They just say what Kamala Harris, as the vice president, as someone who is not the president of our country, as someone who is in a supportive role, and has virtually no say-so over the agenda of this nation, has done. And I said, okay, well, he was president for 4 years straight and he didn't do anything. So you have to keep that same energy. If you truly didn't like when he was on, if you truly didn't like what he was on, sorry, my battery just died. Give me 1 second, y'all. My God, dirty, dingy light in here today. Might be whack light. But if you truly didn't like what he was on, and if he didn't, if she didn't do anything for you, if her standards weren't high enough for you as far as an agenda getting done, there's no way that his standards, that he can meet those standards either, because he really didn't do anything. I really feel like a lot of people who dibble and dabble in the streets always say that Trump gave them more money, or they had more money when Trump was in office because of PPP loans, right? And PPP loans come from Congress, not from Trump. So I feel like the streets got that shit fucked up. But we'll talk more about that. We'll talk a little bit more about the comments, and we're going to get into the Iceberg Lounge podcast. But I have the homie Graham Carter in that. What's good, sir? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you wouldn't mind. I mean, not share the stream, but thank you for joining. You know how I'm in. That's how you know I'm in fucking robot mode, because I'm like, thank you for joining. But you know what I meant. Thank you for joining. Let's hear what you have to say, man. So convince me. Why would somebody cast a vote for this man?
So there's honestly basically like 3 reasons. One is, what did Tupac tell us? Fear is stronger than love. You can't ask someone to neglect their fears unless you're going to tell them how you're going to overcome them. And like, let's give it to Donald Trump where it counts. That man is an excellent measure of finding an enemy in a room, no matter what room it is in, right? Like, this dude started out his presidency by complaining about the crowd size that he had. He made an enemy out of the own people who showed up to his fucking inauguration, right? So the guy can create an enemy anywhere. And people, when they are afraid, are going to do the thing that quells their fear. And he's very good at saying, hey, it's fucking crazy out there. and I'm the thing that's going to protect you. I'm not saying it's true, but I am saying that that is absolutely a very human response. Second thing, people don't know their civics. Like the reality is the vice president doesn't do anything. A matter of fact, John Adams once said if there was any more useless job than the vice president, he would like to find it, because it is literally where you go into the Senate and you count some votes for an election, and sometimes you break a tiebreaker. That's it. That's the whole job.
Philly in the chat was good.
Anything else that anybody tells you that she's responsible for, she isn't. And by the way, you do not go to the president and say, I think you're doing the wrong thing here. That's not what vice presidents do. It is very, very rare that there's even that level of congeniality between a president and vice president. Kennedy and Johnson fucking hated each other. So I think that people just don't know their civics.
I mean, Kamala and Biden don't like each other, honestly, but she has to walk a very razor thin line if she wants support from her party, because even though she replaced him, she can't just be like, fuck everything he did and fuck everything he stands for now, right? Like, she's still his vice president. So I think, again, you're 100% right in the fact that people don't understand the civics. But what's the third reason?
And the third reason is, if you are a young man or a man of any kind, the economy of grievance that we have built over the last 8 years of American politics tells you that you're the fucking problem. And my wife and I disagree about this. We haven't really talked about what is the solution. Like, we all know what toxic male behavior is, but what's the solution? Because sometimes men are different than women, and we shouldn't be expected to behave in the same way. And if I'm a young man and I'm hearing every day, you're toxic, you're shitty, girls won't talk to me because girls have figured out that, like, they don't have to put up with my shit. And by the way, Gen Z is the generation having the lowest amount of sex of any generation in the history of the world, which is its own set of problems for us as a country. And I have someone who comes on screen and says, it's not you. It's somebody else. It's people like her. She did this to you. She's the reason that you're being told that you're toxic. Everybody wants to feel like the victim, because victim is currency in our culture now. And we've never talked about what the solution is for young men. We don't have any outlets for them. We don't have any options for them. It's just their fault and fuck them, and like, that's fucked up, but it is what it is. And by the way, we as Democrats fucked that up. Like, we had every opportunity to do something better with that, and we didn't. And if we lose this, that's the reason why.
I mean, I feel like it goes way, way beyond a partisan issue. I think it's a societal issue as a whole. Like, I could see that. I do think there is toxic masculinity, but I don't think that every action I don't think every aggressive action that males take is toxic. You know what I'm saying? I think you're 100% right. Like, we are two completely different genders. We think differently. We have different instincts. And I think that both, and those differences should be acknowledged and respected. But I also think that it's hard for me to empathize with that point of view, because I'm not one to look for a scapegoat or look for somebody to blame my problems on. So when I get that easy off ramp, I'm not the type of person to take it. And so it's hard for me to empathize with that point of view. Not to say that you're wrong. I think you're 100% right. But I think you're right as to why it's happening. I don't think that necessarily that's behavior that we should coddle. You know what I'm saying? And it is a case by case thing. I don't think we should coddle that behavior, in my opinion.
All the smart people in the room, we didn't come up with one solution, not one. And like, that's my issue, is like, look, when I look at the Republican Party, it is a party of incompetence. They can't govern. They can only govern by grievance. They don't have any points. They don't have any policy. All they know is they fucking hate whoever it is in the room that they hate, right? But we had the smartest people in our party that we've ever had, and we didn't come up with a solution. What we came up with is fuck them. And like, if I'm a young person and I'm hearing fuck you, well, then it's fuck you back. Because when I was 18, man, I would have fought you over a fucking soda pop, let alone a fucking vote.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think I think I can agree with that, but I also think it's a little more nuanced than that. I think that it's easier to I do, there's a layer of that, but you're right. I do, because two things of the same body, there was never going to be a solution. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, they served the same master. So the solution wasn't the goal. The solution was like finding multiple revenue sources for the masters. And I think that this is where my frustration comes in, is that people keep looking down and blaming people who have no power and punching down, instead of looking up and saying, why do you guys have all the money? Why do you guys have all the resources while we're fighting down here over crumbs and over who should and over who should have the right to gender or misgender people in the way that they want the way that they want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a great segue into this the Iceberg Lounge podcast clip that I want to play, because for me the main focus is like, especially non-black men. I just feel like non-black men have been the most vocal. I mean, non-white men and have been the most vocal in the cycle that I've seen about not supporting Kamala. Like I'm not, I don't think she's a great candidate, so I'm not necessarily, I think there are plenty of valid arguments to not like Kamala about, like, I think there are plenty of arguments, but these people aren't making any of these arguments. They're just saying, no, I don't like her and I like him, and they're not saying why they like him. And the things that they don't like about Kamala, Trump has done times 50. So it's just this layer of hypocrisy that it's really hard for me to tolerate. And this is a clear example of it. So the Iceberg Lounge podcast, very dope podcast. You can follow them on Apple Podcasts. The name Uno is the host alongside all the 7 Records artists. Shout out to Philly. Shout out to Glass. They were kind of talking about this on the latest episode, which is available. It's episode 8. It's called Halloween Decor. Subscribe. The Iceberg Lounge podcast is spelled how it sounds. This is a clip of Mike June from 7 Records talking to the name Uno about why he is kind of more in support of Trump. And it's an immigration-based conversation, but I definitely would love to get your feedback on it. And I think this is a great example of people making dishonest arguments, confidently talking about disinformation as if it's fact, and trying to convince someone that their argument is valid when it's not based on fact at all. And I'd love to get your opinion, but this is that clip.
I personally believe that whatever politics you believe in, cool. Like if you believe in the Republican side, cool. If you believe in the Democrat side, cool. If you believe in the third party, cool. I don't necessarily care where you sway your belief system, right? I think my problem with all this shit since 2020 has been, I've never in my adulthood, and I grow up in a white town. I grew up with white supremacy. And in a nigga town, I grew up with race hate between Mexicans. So I understand very much of being of that. I think it's very important to understand that we ain't never seen this type of hate before. And we ain't never seen this type of people come out the woodworks and support something that makes other people feel unsafe. And I think my whole notion has never been about Republican or Democrat. It's always been about, do you really believe that somebody who has, if he has publicly said that if he has the power to abolish democracy, he would. Do you feel that having that type of person who literally is straight against everything that America preaches? Yeah, literally. Mm-hmm. And what does America preach? Not to cut you off. America preaches coming here and creating your own dreams, creating the American dream, which is come from nothing, can build you up to something. And so if you believe that, you're trying to take away the right for that. Your thought process is to take the rights away from people that literally came here to have a better life.
And quick thing, on top of that, literally, America was pretty much built off of immigrants, bro. Like every fucking culture, city, they have their immigrant station that kind of is like a staple in their town. Look at New York, bro. They were built off of all immigration, and they are like second to none on thriving, bro. Like,
I mean, Let me tell you this. Look, since we're talking about immigration, because I know that's where we're going, right?
I mean, that's the whole bit.
Okay, this is the part. So pay close attention. This is Mike June.
I'm half Mexican, right? I got about 50,000 cousins, right? 98% of them did right. They did the whole thing they're supposed to do to obtain citizenship. The whole thing. 2% didn't. The folks that is crossing over illegally into this country are the reason why taxes are higher, why inflation is at an all-time high, and then all the other drugs they bringing in. If I was president, I'd tell every single one of them that's undocumented, get out.
Yeah, that's what Trump's trying to do.
Out. You don't belong here. I love y'all. Do it right. Then you would have been, and I hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Thoughts? Go ahead.
Okay. So the problem, by the way, I posted something in the chat. If you guys are open for this, I would love to give a closing argument before we're done here about why not to listen to your fear and why not to vote for Donald Trump. Because I think that's important. I gave you a great reason too, but I would love to give a chance not to. But like, here's the reality. Immigration is a real issue, right? There is a nuance of truth surrounded by a big fat meat sandwich of lies, right? Which is like, your inflation is not higher because of immigrants. Your taxes are not higher because of immigrants. We have a problem with a porous border where we do know that drug cartels are smuggling people across that we probably do not want here. And I'm not talking about Hispanics. I'm talking about terrorists, right? Like, we know that last year we had at least 6 members of ISIS that we caught coming across the border. So we got to do something about it. I think the problem I have with that mind state is exactly what you said. It is misinformation confidently stated. Like, I know what's going on down there. And it's like, there are experts on this that'll tell you that it's complicated, right? And I think Uno made a really salient point, which is Americans are particularly bad at hearing somebody say something and believe it. When I was a young man, a guy in Saudi Arabia said, I don't fucking like America. They put Air Force bases on our holy land. And then he drove 2 planes into a building. And you know what we said? He doesn't like freedom.
Right. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I feel like, to me, the big Lil Loco says, that's why I don't be taking politics. I'm not trying to make a fool out of myself. I mean, I think that having that conversation is, I think that's the misconception, is that you shouldn't talk about it if you don't know. I think it's great to talk about it and ask questions to get the information, but to talk about it confidently like you know when you clearly don't is a whole nother dangerous thing, right? Like, the border, okay, is there an issue with the border? Sure. Is it porous? Sure. Why though? Why? Like, let's, you know what I'm saying? Like, people act like these third world countries are just inherently bad places, right? But no, we have a hand in destabilizing these places. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a large part to play in the destabilization of these countries, and that's why they're flooding over here, because we've ruined the places that they live. You feel what I'm saying? So that part is never discussed.
Mike Valley, if you want a book to read.
That's not Mike Valley, Mike June.
Okay, Mike June, read Open Veins, which is about the history of the CIA in South America. That shit will blow your fucking mind up.
Facts. Like, we have a lot to do with the stabilization of those countries. But I think beyond that, something I cannot stand is when people say that, my family did it right, and I want everyone else to do it right, when I guarantee you I can find instances of your family not doing it right, for sure. I can guarantee, not to say that I don't, and I think they should be here. I think they should still have opportunities to be here. But then when you say you support somebody who, you say you support somebody who's because they're tough on the border, but you don't like Kamala, when she's in a regime right now. Biden is known as the deporter, Obama was known as the deporter in chief, and Biden has a worse record of deportation than he does. Kamala is not easy on the border. And this is part of what I'm talking about, is I hate when people make these dishonest, bad faith arguments about, well, I like him because he's tough on the border, but you don't even know Kamala's border policy. Like, She is very tough on them. She was the one that got up and said, "Do not come here." She got up on camera. That was the first thing Biden ever had her do, was get up and tell all the immigrants, "Do not come here. The borders are closed." You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not easy on the border. Now we can have the conversation of whether we agree with that or not, but she's not easy on the border. So that, like, that's a point right there that automatically disqualifies your argument, in my opinion.
So what you just hit on, though, is also kind of my part of my closing argument. If you care about immigration, what you should know is that the government is a broadsword, not a scalpel, right? Like, the reality is, most people who come here illegally, they don't cross the border. They get on an airplane, they get off, and then they don't check in when their visa's up, right? Like, it's actually very easy to get a visa to this country, and they fly over here and they get off at LAX, and then they just disappear into the woodwork. We're not
100%.
going. We have to do something about the border, certainly, and there's all kinds of electronic surveillance options that we have to make it a less porous border. But to solve this problem, it's going to require legislation from Congress, which our current vice president was actually the engineer of, and then Trump said, "No, don't actually pass that, because you'll take an option off the table for me."
See, we didn't even get there yet. We didn't even get there yet that he told his own party to go easy on the border because he didn't want to do anything about it until he was back in office. Like, y'all have to understand this. Like, that is a crazy thing to do.
The time that Trump had control of the border, we actually ended up deporting people who were American soldiers. Like, people don't understand, the immigration system is incredibly complicated. There is a lot more than legal and illegal, right? Like, the Philippines, for instance, can volunteer into the United States military, and they're technically not citizens, and they're technically not illegally here, but they are part of our military. And he ended up deporting a bunch of them. Like, I mean, like, it is a broadsword, not a scalpel. A scalpel is the law. You get the law to do a scalpel's work. You get the government to hammer something. Like, if that's your argument, you're voting for the wrong person.
100%, 100%. And then I think the final like nail in the coffin is just I think I forgot my point. There was one more point, but
let me while you're thinking about that, let me give my final argument, because I want to get off your show and not hog up your time here. My final argument is like, look, I'm Jewish. This last year for a Jewish person has been very difficult to be a Democrat. I said last year, probably around December, like, Democrats really got to earn my vote this time around. And the reality is like, there's lots of things that I'm scared of, right? Like, very personally within my area of operations, there are people that I am concerned about their physical well-being. I am concerned about my own emotional well-being, to the point where I got to take breaks off social media. I do not think for a second a man who can control his impulses so poorly that he cannot. And by the way, a story came out the other day of him doing this. This is the 48th person to come out with this story, that he groped her in front of Jeffrey Epstein in a situation that Jeffrey Epstein,
in a game,
had her up in. That he can't control his impulses enough for that is going to help me with the things that I'm afraid of. I am nearly certain it will make them significantly worse. I do not want the most charismatic person in the world to be president. I want a good administrator, someone who knows how to pull the levers to do something. That's it. That's my argument. If you care about functionality, Donald Trump's not your guy. He doesn't know how to make things work. He fucked up a casino, for God's sake.
Period. Like, the easiest money making machine. He's blown $400 million twice. That's $800 million for those of you that can't count. Like, so even if your argument is that he's a good businessman and he's going to run the country like a business, he's not a good businessman. He's gone bankrupt 6 times. He's blown $400 million twice. Like, he's put nothing but sycophants and yes men around him. Oh, and I remember my final point. My final point is, especially, this is directly to Mike June, who's clearly not done his research, is that you just said that you're cool with legal immigration, which is what all Republicans say, as long as it's done the right way. But they're also trying to get rid of legal immigration. They don't want immigration, period. So you're not voting for the right person if illegal immigration is where you stand. You're not voting. He has clearly stated that he wants to deport the Haitians eating the cats and dogs. They're illegal immigrants. You feel what I'm saying? He's classifying them as illegal immigrants and putting targets on their backs, to the point where bomb threats are being called on legal immigrants. So he does not care about legal immigration. I need a better reason. I need a better excuse than you want people to do it the right way. And if you want to hear the rest of that episode, which I highly recommend that you go listen to, the Iceberg Lounge podcast, episode 8, available now. It gets way spicier, as Uno said.
Shout out to
Carter,
Uno, by the way, for having a really thought out answer to all of that. I really appreciated that because I kind of knew where this was going, and I was like, and Uno was like, hold on, and I really appreciate that.
Facts. Plug anything you got to plug before you get out of here.
I don't want to plug anything. All I want to tell you guys is when somebody tells you that they're crazy, fucking believe them. I'm out. See you guys later.
that part, y'all. So there you have it. Man, I am going to be on the Iceberg Lounge podcast this coming week. You might sit down and have a conversation. I'm definitely looking forward to that because I got a lot of facts I can give you, my brother. And hopefully they help. If they do, cool. If they don't, cool. It is what it is. I just don't want the hypocrisy and like the clear misinformation stated as facts. That shit drives me insane. I don't care how calm or how level-headedly you say it. It doesn't make it any more true. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Everybody have a great night. Remember, we are giving away an Uber Eats gift card. We got to feed y'all. We got to feed the people. So if you want to win an Uber Eats gift card, all you got to do is become a member, a free member at our website. The link for that is in bio, and we will be having the raffle not this Friday, but next Friday. So if you want to get in to win an Uber Eats gift card, make sure you sign up as a member. Also, go get yourself some The Coast Got Next merch. Shout out to Don Mercado. I can't wait to see the pictures of that. If you need anything to do for Halloween, this 31st, Outlaws, the Tascadero is having a very big event, so pop out to that. And we will be at Humdinger Brewery in Slow on November 2nd. That Saturday is going to be a vibe. $10 to get in. And live music, good food, good people, 21 and up. Pop out. Excited to see everybody. And I will be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. not 6 p.m. Tomorrow night I will be back at 8 p.m. So I will see all of you then. I hope everybody has a great night. Members, look out for members only content, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Just me and you. What's good with you? Your king, your prince, my queen, my bitch. Your lips, your eyes, your hips, your thighs. We met